Hey, Coach Miller here with BTB Lax, and I want to try something new this week. I think I'm going to do it every single week. I'm going to do a weekly recap of the games that went on, the college games that went on this past weekend. Try to keep a good eye on what's going on throughout the season. We'll have some fun with it. But real quick, guys, if you like these types of videos, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Make sure to leave a comment below. Let me know what else you're looking to see. But right now, because Division I just started, we're going to go through the games. It's week 2 of the season, essentially. It took me, week 1 to kind of get this stuff organized. But hey, let's see how it goes, and we'll take a crack at it. All right, so moving along here. The BTB storylines of the weekend, in my opinion, and after talking to some other college coaches, are Jacksonville. Number 1 storyline of the week. They took down Duke. Coach Galloway, who played at Duke, went up there to Durham and took them down. Jacksonville has a Tufts transfer, a grad student on their team, Max Walbaum, and he's tearing it up. He's having goals left and right. It's good to see a jumbo in Division I lacrosse making some noise. Georgetown, they're loaded. They have 3 first-team All-Americans. I got my Inside Lacrosse special double issue college preview right here. It's got like my little Bible. I got all the information I need right there. So Georgetown, they have 3 first-team All-Americans. They crushed Hopkins. High Point played real tough against Virginia. We'll take a listen what Coach Lars Tiffany had to say about High Point and how good their goalie played.
Whether a team's had 1 day to prepare or 7 days to prepare, High Point does this, and they are relentless. It's great for us because we see a team that plays at a different speed earlier in the year that we need to catch up to, and we know we're going to get there, but they accelerate our need to catch up to a faster pace of play. And we just didn't play at the pace we need to. Thank goodness for Matt News. 11 saves at halftime, and then obviously a huge one right at the very end. We have to be a better program, and I just talked to the men about that. We can't be relying on a freshman goalie, first years as we call them here, to be winning us ball games. But essentially, that's what Matt News did today.
All right, moving on. We had Maryland. Maryland played Loyola, and they romped them. They beat them by more than 10 goals. We'll see some of the highlights here. Rutgers is 3-0. They almost made the Final Four last year, had that great game against North Carolina. We'll keep an eye on Rutgers. They're 3-0. D3 starts this week, so we'll keep an eye on that. And then high school starts this week as well. I'm coaching basketball at the moment. That ends on Friday. Then we transition to lacrosse. So lacrosse starts up on Sunday. So I'll be in full lacrosse mode there. Try to have some cool stuff. So when I was going through my Inside Lacrosse double issue magazine here, I had to figure out how I want to do this weekly recap, and I thought I'd just break it down into divisions, into leagues per se. I didn't know there were so many leagues in Division I lacrosse, but there is. So basically this gives you the update of the ACC. Big storylines for this week. Denver's going to Duke. That's always a great game. Ohio State's going to UNC. That should be a good game. Jack Myers is on that team for Ohio State. He's a Gonzaga grad, so we'll be keeping an eye on him. Notre Dame starts their season. They're the only ACC team that not have played so far, whereas Duke has already played 4 games. They have a difference in scheduling philosophies there. Maryland visits Syracuse. That should be a good game. America East, this gives you a layout of what's going on here. A lot of 0-2 teams, or 2 0-2 teams with Vermont. Vermont plays Penn State today, so we'll see what happens there. Stony Brook's 1-0. The Atlantic Sun Conference. Utah had a good win this past weekend. Big East. A lot of good teams in the Big East. Some things to consider. Georgetown goes to Penn this week. So Penn's playing one of their first games in a long time because the Ivy League starts this week, which I'll talk about in a second. Denver goes to Duke. Villanova goes to Yale. Marquette this past weekend beat Bellarmine in triple overtime. So that was a pretty long game. 3 overtimes is always a good game, I'm sure. Big Ten. Got a lot of good teams in this conference as well. Maryland's 2-0. What else is new? They're 1 in the country. Rutgers, what I talked about, is 3-0. Hopkins is 2-1. They actually beat Jacksonville early in the season, and then they lost to Georgetown pretty handily this past weekend. Ohio State's 2-0. They got a big game this week. Penn State's playing today. Michigan's 2-0, but they haven't really played much competition yet. The CAA, Delaware's 3-0. Delaware's 3-0. They're ranked. Virginia goes to Towson this week. We'll see what that game that has. Ivy League. No team has played in the Ivy League yet, but they're starting their play this weekend. I talked about Georgetown going to Penn. Albany's going to Cornell. I talked about Villanova going to Yale. Brown this week opens up against Quinnipiac too, so we'll keep an eye on the Ivy League. It's good to see them back after a 2-year hiatus for some of these schools. The MAC, nothing of note here. Quinnipiac, which I noted, plays Brown this week. That's the only thing I know about that. We'll keep an eye on this, though. Try to get some storylines later on as the season progresses. The NAC, Bryant is in the top 20. Patriot League. So with the Patriot League, Loyola lost their opener to Maryland, which I talked about. They got crushed. Lehigh's 1-0. They have an awesome face-off guy. He's on the preseason Twartman list. So his name is Mike Sisselberger. He was 15-18 this past weekend. He tears it up at the face-off X. Southern Conference. High Point. They've played teams tough. We heard what Coach Lars had to say about the Virginia game and how their goalie saved them. Richmond's 0-1. Jacksonville's 2-1. We've talked about them. All right. Some interesting news here. So with DraftKings, you can go on and you can see some lines, which gives you an idea who's favored, what's going to... I find this kind of fun. You know, it's kind of just like the NFL these days. So Duke, the Denver game. Duke's favored by 3.5. Georgetown, Penn, Georgetown's favored by 2.5. Yale, Villanova, Yale's favored by 5.5. That could be too much. The over-unders are on the right there, so those like 26.5 numbers, those are the over-unders. Combined goals there. North Carolina, Ohio State. North Carolina's favored by 4.5. That's a lot, in my opinion. Maryland, Syracuse. Maryland's favored by 3.5. And then we have Hopkins, Loyola. Loyola's favored by 2.5. So, taking a look at the top 20 poll for this week of February 14th, 2022. Maryland's got the top spot. Virginia's number 2. Georgetown's number 3. North Carolina's number 4. Notre Dame yet to play. They're number 5. They're always talented. So that's the top 5. You can see the rest of the top 20 for you there. So Coach Miller with BTB Lax for the weekly recap. We'll have some fun with this. Next week we'll probably throw in some Division III recap as well, maybe some high school recap. But if you like this type of video, like I said, go ahead, leave a comment in the comment section of the video. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Talk soon.